Well, good morning. Yeah, I wondered whether you were still awake out there. Distinguished guests, partners, colleagues, friends, thank you for inviting me to join you today. The Island of Hope is a beacon for COP28. It symbolizes our collective aspiration for a sustainable, resilient future. A future in which climate adaptation is not just a policy term, but a lived experience of communities adapting their lives to a changing environment with dignity and hope. I pay tribute to Climate Action and the Island Innovation for the outstanding work you do. And I thank all the people and partners who have created this magnificent space, bringing small island states, climate vulnerable regions, and donors, investors, and the private sector together, such an action-packed program. And we need it. As Commonwealth Secretary, I am the custodian of a rich history of environmental leadership. And we have reached a pivotal moment in that history. As far back as 1989, before the COP process even existed, Commonwealth leaders predicted, and I quote, the permanent and irreversible damage of the environmental breakdown, and they called for coordinated global action. Their predictions have come true. And the 56 nations and 2.5 billion people of the Commonwealth feel the impacts every single day. Across every region of our family of nations, fertile lands turn to dust, wells run dry, storms and floods overwhelm communities, and the ocean rises. Vulnerable states face being consumed by the waves or drowned by debt. The unthinkable has become typical. Yet, as climate advances, we are losing momentum. The gap on emissions, finance, justice has widened, whilst the window for action continues to narrow. Nowhere is the urgency of the challenge we face more apparent than in our islands. And the Commonwealth is home to 25 small island states, 2/3 of the global whole. And they face an exceptional convergence of hardships. If we think about what has just happened in terms of COVID, the difficulties that we have now in Ukraine and Russia, all of that, the climate change amplifies the effects of the global economic and instability to place untold pressures on their economies and their societies. And the constant threat of exogenous shocks is compounded by their geographical remoteness, their limited economic diversification, infrastructure challenges, and high reliance on external sources of finance, meaning that the shocks inflict seismic human and economic pain, which amplifies existing vulnerabilities and compromises their resilience. Indeed, just a few weeks ago, parts of Vanuatu were devastated by Category 5 Cyclone Lola, which hit 7 months after twin cyclones Judy and Kevin wiped out 50% of the country's GDP, and the recovery efforts were priced at 80% of the GDP. And I went to Vanuatu, and I saw the pain and the difficulty, but I also saw the determination and the resilience. Each of these shocks are exacerbated by limited fiscal space that small states, island states in particular, have. And across our small states, including the small island developing states, the average debt to GDP ratio of 64.7% outweighs the average, or the global average, of 62.5%. And this challenge is further compounded by restricted access to concessional development finance, which is crucial for mitigating shocks and vital for the development of their economies. And with no alternative, many countries are forced to obtain financing on unfavorable terms, resulting in higher debt burden, creating a vicious cycle where debt becomes unsustainable and access to finance becomes even more limited. These challenges are well known and understood. Millions of people in small island states feel that impact every day. It is their lived reality. And governments grapple with them and sound the alarm. Yet still, global financial mechanisms are not set up to meet the needs of SIDS or small states. Less than 1% of climate investment has gone to the 32 small island developing states who have suffered the most. So, because of long-term collective failure at the global level, small island states continue to be denied the finance they need and deserve to adapt to climate change and to meet their developmental aspirations. And the Commonwealth's most vulnerable states have been instrumental in the vital loss and damage breakthrough achieved at this COP. And our finance ministers are leading the calls for reform of the global financial architecture to broaden eligibility and apply a deeper assessment of real vulnerability. This is a personal priority for me as Secretary General, and I applaud the outstanding efforts of Commonwealth leaders, especially my dear sister Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, in her leadership for the Bridgetown Initiative. I think people say it's Trouble and her sister when they see the two of us coming. Because in pursuing these vital reforms, we are upholding the Commonwealth Charter and the mandates of our heads of government. And the mandates are vitally important because they act as the foremost intergovernmental champion for small and vulnerable states, united in advocating for their needs. And that advocacy is underpinned by the most comprehensive package of practical support and assistance in the Commonwealth's 75-year history. We have listened to our leaders. We have listened to our people. We have listened to our countries, our partners, and we have heard them. What they've told us they need. We've rejoiced with them as they've shared what they have. And we have understood the gaps. And together, we've co-created the solutions, bit by bit, over the last 7 years. We've tried to build an ecosystem they need to sustain hope. And hope is the most powerful instrument we and they have, because we have to keep that hope alive. It is the oxygen that will enable us to fight. And that hope has underpinned everything we've done, but it's been underpinned by ruthless determination that we will not fail. We refuse to fail. Our flagship Blue Charter brings our member countries together in active cooperation to solve ocean-related challenges and meet commitments for sustainable ocean action, covering everything from coral reef protection and sustainable fishing to ocean acidification and resilient coastal communities. And we've developed a project incubator for the Blue Charter, which uniquely assists governments in developing ocean projects, which government-backed projects being implemented in Barbados, Fiji, Kenya, Kiribati, Nigeria, Seychelles, and Sri Lanka. Our Living Lands Charter, ratified by our heads of government in Kigali last year, applies the Blue Charter model to safeguarding global land resources with coordinated international action on desertification, biodiversity loss, and sustainable land management. And at this COP, I have been able to launch our Living Lands framework. It's an implementation framework. And the reason that's so important is that our countries often say to us, well, it's fantastic you're giving us the guidance and policies, but how do we do it when we have little money? We don't have the expertise and therefore don't have the acuity that we need to implement. So that implementation framework was our response to their demand. We've got our Commonwealth Sustainable Energy Transition Agenda, which helps our member states deliver swift and just transition to clean energy. The Commonwealth Meridian helps our small, vulnerable member states improve their debt management because we've combined it so it's not just public debt, but we've helped them to manage private debt as well. And through our Climate Finance Access Hub, we have so far been able to mobilize more than $322 million in vital finance for our most vulnerable members. And that has been delivered with a $500 million waiting in the pipeline with an investment of just $7.8 million. Imagine what we could do if we had the ability to put a climate finance advisor in every country who really needs it. And the hub is complemented by innovative new tools, such as the Common Pool Asset Structuring System, which we've called Compass, which we've developed in collaboration with Cambridge University in consultation with more than 500 experts, 200 national policymakers, and 5,000 citizens across the Commonwealth. Compass can accelerate SID's access to finance by overcoming challenges of scale, risk, and complexity, by enabling them to pool resources and expertise, streamline decision-making processes, and develop a pipeline, a robust pipeline of combined funding applications and investable projects. And now, as part of our work to test Compass with investors, we have already secured $10 million of collective non-debt private sector investment in support of digital training and youth health programs in the Caribbean. These programs are principled, practical, and ambitious, with gender equality and youth empowerment mainstreamed at every level. And they are having an impact. And because of the Commonwealth's unique blend of shared values, reach, scale, convening power, and technical expertise, I believe our work is genuinely world leading. But in the face of the enormous challenge, we know that on its own, it will never be enough. So we need everyone, including all of you, each and every one of you. Your engagement, your commitment, your expertise and advice and ideas, your willingness to invest. As individuals and organizations in this room today, we all have different capabilities and specialisms, but we all have something special to offer. And each of us has the power to change the world. People try to tell us we don't, but the truth is, if we choose, we absolutely do when we work together. So by working in partnership, we have the opportunity to combine those capabilities and pool the power, to unite and to be bold, and to push the boundaries of what is possible. And I urge you to see the Commonwealth not only as a friend and ally, but as a partner of choice, building a more sustainable, resilient future for all our island states. So together we can step decisively closer to the future we dream of. A secure future, a resilient future, an exciting future in which we all can live together in harmony with each other and the planet we share, with common purpose, prosperity, and peace. I believe with my whole heart this is possible. I believe with my whole heart that we can do this if we choose. But I also know that none of us will be able to do this on our own. So I hope that today every single one of us will make a commitment that we will be the arbiters of our good fortune and those whom we love. That we will commit ourselves to saving this planet by working together and being the difference we need to make in the world. Every day I think of Nelson Mandela's quote when he says, "The impossible always seems impossible until it's done." So let's do it. Thank you.